Okay, everybody. This is like my ninth attempt at doing this video, so hopefully we're going to be cooperative here. This is Allison, the Brachypelma vagans. So I'm going to feed her, and then I'm going to talk. And what I'm going to talk about is what's been going on with me and my health for the last few weeks. Hopefully some of it will make a little bit sense to you, and you guys can say, "Oh yeah, now I get it." But some things were found out. But let me try feeding her, so at least you guys can. There you go. Okay, you can at least watch her. Okay, so I've tried to do this with my Ensiocratella olivacea, who's now out. You piece of crap. Since I put her back, now she's out. Oh yeah, you're rotten. You're like sticking your middle finger up at me. And then I tried to do it with Arkham, and the filming just didn't come out right. So anyway, let's rewind. Ankle. Okay, we have the ankle injury. Everybody knows about the ankle injury. I fell through a catwalk in front of a CNC machine, about 2 feet through a hole. Rough impact on the ankle. Had high, low ankle sprain. Issue with the Achilles tendon. We've been fighting, trying to figure out what it is. So the doctor, orthopedic surgeon, sent me to have a EMG, an electromyography test done on the ankle to make sure that there is not damage to the nerve down there, and that's what's causing my pain. The process of having that done, or in the process of having that done, the doctor that was doing that test found some abnormalities. Okay, so I'm back. Now that everybody's done making all kinds of noise out there. So yeah, this doctor found an abnormality in the way my muscles are basically firing. So he went to an extreme right off the bat, and it was, the diseases that were thrown out at me were muscular dystrophy, were multiple sclerosis, were ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease. I believe that's what Stephen Hawking had, right? Was Lou Gehrig's disease. Which multiple sclerosis you can live with. High rate muscular dystrophy or ALS is pretty much, a death sentence. One's going to be a lot quicker than the other. But so I've been freaked out for weeks. I've talked to a few friends. Of course, my wife, my parents, my sister-in-law, who's a nurse. We went over different things, and things that I've been experiencing all my life, but never kind of connected the dots. Let's put it that way. And so I went from that doctor, who had me completely freaked out, to my family physician. And he wanted me to go to Pittsburgh to a neuromuscular doctor. They couldn't get me in anywhere in Pittsburgh for over a month, but the doctor here in Erie could. So he sent me there. I did an initial exam last Monday. So imagine, let's go back to March Madness. That whole last week and a half of March Madness, I knew about this stuff, or knew that I had something. Didn't know what I had, but knew I had something that wasn't right. And let's see if we can get some around the side here, going through the glass. If I can keep my reflection away, it's not so bad, right? I knew I had something, and I had gotten to the point where I almost didn't want to finish March Madness, but I soldiered on, got through it, and went to that doctor last Monday. I did an initial test with a physician's assistant, went through the motor skill tests, reflexes, quick eye exam. They looked behind my eyes, basically to the back part of my eyes. I'm not sure what, I'm not an eye person, so I don't know, retina lens or something, I don't know. optical nerve. I really honestly don't know what they looked. She just said she was looking at something in the back of my eyes. Did a lot of basic motor function skills, like close my eyes and put my hand on my nose, follow the finger, and then touch the finger, touch my nose, and then she would move the finger, and then I had to touch it again, which I had troubles with those. So that kind of freaked me out a little bit. I think I spent about a half an hour with her doing just odds and end things. And of course, with my ankle, we were kind of limited with walking exercises and stuff like that. So the doctor came in, the doctor talked to me for about 5 minutes, and he was basically just observing me, watching for signs of things, basically. When he was all done, he explained to me what he was doing. He wasn't really trying to diagnose me, he wasn't really doing anything but observing my muscles, observing the way my body was, and how I moved when I talked, or if I showed signs of weakness in an area or whatever it may be. He did a few tests to me, and he's like, I really don't think that you have a motor or neuromuscular disease, but we can't rule it out. He said the problem is that if you do, at your age, it's going to be something like ALS, or high-grade muscular dystrophy. I don't know if that terminology is right, high-grade, but the worst part of muscular dystrophy. So again, I've been freaked out. I've been freaked out for about 2.5 weeks now, almost 3 weeks, trying to determine what's wrong with A, my ankle, and B, everything else. I after doing all the research and reading about ALS that I did, again, when you're faced with your own mortality, you can come to grips with it a certain way. But it wasn't even the fact of that. It was the fact of my family having to take care of me like that. I didn't want to do. I didn't want to go through that. I didn't want them to go through that. And then you have to figure out how to tell your kids stuff like that, So they scheduled another electromyography test done, but they couldn't get me in until the 6th of May, or 7th of May, sorry, which would have been the day after Buffalo. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, now I'm going to Buffalo to a reptile show. There's going to be tarantulas there. There's going to be scorpions there. There's going to be centipedes there. I want to bring a few things home, but do I dare do that, not knowing what is going on with me? Because it would be just kind of a waste and not right for the animal to bring something home that in another 6 months I wouldn't be able to take care of. So that kind of had me upset a little bit. Well, then they called me and said, hey, we can get you in. Doctor wants to get you in earlier. We have an appointment on whatever today's date is, 5th or 6th. I don't even know. It's hard for me to keep track of days anymore, being off work for as long as I have. But I know what day it is. I just don't know the date. I know Monday's the 9th. That's all I know. So let's 8th, 7th, 6th, 5th. Today's the 5th. So I said, yeah, let's do it. As much as I didn't want to go through this test again, I said, let's do it. I want to know. So I went in, and what they do is they hook you up to, a couple electrodes. They ground you, and then they send a pulse through different parts of your body to check to see how the nerves are sending signals through. So if I had a pinched nerve, they would see it. If I had nerve damage or a weak nerve or a blocked nerve, they would see it. So they did my leg, and it can be a little painful because they increase the intensity of the shock each time until the sine wave stops going up. So once it levels off, they know that they're not going to be able to push any more through that. So when they were supposed to do my leg and my arm, so he did my leg and then compared it with my other leg and then stopped. And that kind of freaked me out. What I found was that I'm a little bit below the average of where it should be. So there's something going on nerve-wise. So automatically now I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, it is going to be neuromuscular now. Well, the doctor came in and he talked to me. He asked me a few questions. I had the next part of the test is they insert needles into certain parts of your muscles, and they're just like acupuncture needles. They're not very big. They're not too painful. Some spots are a little bit more painful than others. And what they do is they put it in, and you can hear it on the machine, like a sonogram. So if anybody's gone through a sonogram, and you can hear that noise, and then you can hear the heartbeat, and That's what it sounds like. You don't hear the heartbeat, but you can hear the muscle, basically, and the signal that the muscle, that's going through my muscle. Then you have to flex that muscle, and then that signal is either going to intensify, which it should intensify, because now that signal's being amplified because I have to basically flex that muscle. So he did my thigh first, and when he did that, he's like, I know exactly what you have. He's like, we don't need to go any further, but we're still going to test a few muscles just to make sure. So I was like, okay, well, I'm assuming that's good, because he's not testing the 4 motor groups that he wanted to, because it was cranial, so it'd be your head, neck, throat, jaw, and then the upper muscle body, so your pectoral muscles, your deltoids, the muscles that go along the sides of your ribs, those would be tested. Then your legs and your arms, those are your 4 muscle groups that would have been tested. That goes along with the lower back too, and your butt muscles, your gluteus maximus muscles. So he did that, did the leg, did the ankle, did the calf, and he's like, let's do your arm, even though I don't think we need to. So he started talking to me while you're doing the arm. Did the bicep, did the muscle by the elbow, and then did the muscle in your hand. So the needle gets inserted in that pocket, that's like on top of your hand, not like in between, but on top of your hand, between the thumb and your first finger, your forefinger. That was kind of painful. That was actually pretty painful. Actually, that my hand still hurts from that. So he told me, okay, this is what you have. I'm going to stop you guys at 10 minutes here in a second, and I'm going to finish. I know that I stopped and started again, but I want to get this all in one video. So I'm going to stop here and then restart. Okay, so we're back to the hand. Okay, we did the hand. So then he's like, okay, this is what you have. And he's like, there's two grades of this. There's DM1, there's DM2. But what he diagnosed me with is what is called myotonic dystrophy. It is a form of muscular dystrophy. It is not as bad as regular muscular dystrophy, to the point where muscles just aren't going to work and it'll end up killing you eventually. That's not what I have. I have DM2 myotonic dystrophy, or what they call PROMM, PROM. You can look up PROM. If anybody wants to read about this stuff, myotonic is MYOTONIC. Then dystrophy, or PROMM. I think you can type that into, but it's a hereditary disease, believe it or not. I've had it since birth, and it explains a lot of things when I was younger. Explains a lot, probably some of the injuries maybe that I've had over the course of just odd, stupid injuries that I've had, but it's going to progress. And where I have my problems is muscle cramping, especially in the pectoral muscles and the muscles that go along the side of my rib cage. They're underneath my armpits. That group of muscles right there tends to cramp quite often, and those are very painful when I have them. I get them in my shoulders, in my biceps and triceps, and in the muscles around my elbow. I get the shakes in my hand. I get muscle twitching a lot in my lower back, in my butt muscles, in the back of my thighs. Every now and then my neck will lock. The muscles, it's like what happens is you turn your head and you get a cramp, and your muscle, not cramp, but your muscle stiffens, and then your mind is telling you, okay, now my head's got to go back, and the muscle's like, yeah, no, I'm not doing it, I'm stuck here. So what ends up happening is I almost have to think myself through it and just relax, and then it just like eases up. So it's almost like putting the brakes on and locking, and then letting off the brakes to unlock them. That's basically what happens. Issues swallowing sometimes, especially in the morning. When I take medication, I have to actually drink water, like a half a glass of water, to relax the muscle in my throat to be able to swallow sometimes. That is not a lot of fun sometimes, because I've had it where I've started to swallow a pill and that function just stops, and you end up having to spit everything back out again. So that doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's just very, very frustrating. So where do we go from here? Well, there's no cure. There are medications that can help me with the shaking and the cramping. The shaking that you see, the shaking that I talk about all the time, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. All I have to do is, let me bring you back out here first. Now, do you see that shaking? That is my normal life right now. When I hold my arm out and my muscles are contracted from my shoulder to my bicep to my tricep to the muscles in my forearm and my hands, what's happening right now is my muscle is weakening, all of them, maybe one more than the other, but that's where the shaking is coming from. It's not anything neural, so it's not like my brain is not getting the signal to do that, and that's where I'm getting the shaking from. Something like Parkinson's disease. This is my muscle just gets weak, and it's trying to do what it's supposed to do, but it can't do it to the efficiency that it needs to do. So you can imagine, again, go back to March Madness, me trying to get through that last week and a half. I almost gave up, I don't know how many times. I said, okay, I can't do this. I'm just going to say, it was just too much for me, and I'm sure everybody's going to be fine with it. But I soldiered through it because I wanted to, and I don't want to give up on doing. There's the high stance, the walking tall, as I call it. God, she's such a beautiful little tarantula. Such a everyday normal tarantula. Like, just be so good looking. Yeah, I'm talking about you. I know you know it. So where do we go from here? Again, no cure. It's going to advance. It's not going to advance to the point where I hopefully will be debilitated. They don't think it can be something that's going to cause me major disabilities, but it may eventually break down to the point where I'm not going to be able to work anymore. My muscles will fatigue too much, especially doing electrical work. That's the last thing you want to do, is put yourself in jeopardy, trying to do something electrically, and your muscle just says, bye-bye, and you zap yourself. So I have to start being careful of what I do and start reading my body a little bit more. That's if they'll allow me to continue working with this disease. We do have somebody there that has, I think, low-grade Parkinson's disease that still works. Actually, he functions better doing fine motor skills than he does gross motor skills, where mine is the opposite. I can do the gross motor skills, just my arms just tire out really quickly, but I can't do the fine motor skills because I have to hold my hands at a certain position for too long. Soldering gives me problems, and working, circuit boards and stuff like that electrically gives me problems trying to do fine work. So it takes me a lot longer to do things than other people do. So I don't know what they're going to do or say when I go back there. But we still have to cross this ankle bridge first, because that has to get fixed before I can go back to work. So that's kind of really where we're at. He said I could have these same symptoms, like the intensity that I'm having now, for 5 years without any sign of increase, or I could have them for 6 months and see signs of increase. I have to have my yearly EKGs done and thyroid tests done, because, again, the DM2 that I have is more upper muscular, and your heart is a muscle, so we have to continually monitor the electricity that makes my heart function, and it could get to the point, like he said, that I may have to have a pacemaker installed to keep the rhythm of my heart going. Right now, everything seems to be fine, but I'm sure that we'll have an EKG here done in the next couple of weeks, just to be, so we have a basis of what we're going to be looking at from here on out. I've had them done before so that they can check, years ago. And as a matter of fact, one of my ventricles in the chambers of my heart, I can't remember which one, actually never fires below the positive. So my sine wave is just, the half circle up, and then it goes straight, and then the half circle up. It never goes to that bottom below the negative plane of the positive and negative of electrical pulse. So this could be tied back to that, and that was something that was found many years ago, but it wasn't anything that was any major. It didn't just seem to be affecting my heart rate, anything like that. So I haven't had an EKG in, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years now. So we're probably gonna have to have that done. So that's kind of where we're at, and I was kind of worried because I thought I was gonna have to give up this hobby, thinking, geez, ALS or MD, I'm not going to be able to care for these animals, and I don't want to wait to the point where you just, you're at that, okay, I can't do it anymore. Now I have to figure out where to go with them. I would have had to have done this relatively quickly if it had been one of those types of diseases. So fortunately, it's something still not great news, but it's much better news than what it could be. So for those of you that have been saying, I hope everything's going good, and again, I stressed the ankle when I talked about things, but the ankle was my least of my worries and all that stuff when I talked about it. So yeah, now you know. Now you know what's going on here, dear Euractids, and what's going on with my health, and it's stuff that we'll just get through together. My family and you guys, my subscribers, my friends, and people that care. So yeah, and this also affects my voice. If you know, sometimes my voice will be different, and my voice has changed over the course of the last 6 months drastically. Not that I was ever a singer, because I can't carry a tune, but I used to like singing to my music, and I can't do that anymore because my voice doesn't hit notes that I could before, and it also goes away. It's like I'll be talking and boom, there's nothing there. It's happened to me on video a few times. So if you hear me talking and then there's silence, a lot of times it's not just me trying to think of what I'm trying to say next. A lot of times it's my voice went away and I have to stop and my body has to reset so that the voice will come back again. It's kind of funny because, I'm so long-winded that, how I get through this sometimes I don't know. But, so yeah, again, I wasn't sure I really wanted to do this because I don't want people to say, oh, poor Dave, poor Dave, poor Dave. That's not why I did this. I just wanted you guys to know exactly what was going on with me. And it'll explain, again, it explains a few things that you guys have been seeing, especially with the shaking. That's what it is. So, yeah, myotonic dystrophy, form of muscular dystrophy, low grade, hereditary. So, the odds of the kids having it are 50%, which kind of sucks because it progressively gets worse from generation to generation. So not only do we have to worry about them and what's going on with them, we have to monitor them. They have to know what's going on, so if they see any of these signs, we may have to have them checked. My grandkids, so, my kids are having to make decisions. Do we want to have kids? Do we want to risk that? So, again, there's all kinds of other diseases that can be passed down hereditary-wise, and people continue to have kids and, hope for the best, and I'm sure they will too. But, it's just something that's out there. And now this is all out there in the open. And, if you guys have questions about it and you want to know anything, I'm still researching it myself. So I don't know all of it. I am getting in touch with my UPMC liaison, which will get me hooked up with basically it's called a health coach. And the health coach will help me deal with getting information and dealing with this issue, because I have one for my ulcerative colitis. So I have another one now for this, and trying to figure out how to watch for things, signs I should be watching for. Do we want to start taking the medications? I opted out of that right now till I see my doctor. I want to make sure that nothing's going to cause any other problems because I can't deal with any other problems. I just have too much crap going on inside my body. There's a laundry list of stuff, not even including the ankle, but the degenerative discs in my back, the ulcerative colitis, the acid reflux, the Barrett syndrome, the asthma, all that happy stuff that's going on. I don't need another medication to cause other problems. I don't need any more. So I have problems that I'll be selling. So if anybody's interested in selling or buying some of my problems, let me know. I will sell them probably pretty cheap. Shipping may be a little bit expensive, but the problems will be very, very cheap if you're offered to buy them from me. I'm not giving them away for free. You have to actually earn them. So, all right. Well, thanks again for tuning in. And again, we'll just go from here and have fun. I'm going to continue to have fun. I'm going to continue to do this until I can't do it anymore. you know, that's my plan and my goal, and hopefully I just get better. It may take me a little longer to do things as we progress, and we may have to work with different tools. You know, do more tripod work and a little less trying to hold the camera. But yeah, so I appreciate everybody, and I mean, you don't know how much, really. I appreciate all the support that everybody gives me, and you know, just tuning in, and you know, the people that continually comment, and people that I consider friends, you know, that through the channel and through the Facebook groups and everything else. So I'm going to leave you here, and I may add a little bit of this clip into my Brachypelma feeding clip, because I did do a Brachypelma feeding video, and I got halfway through it, and I'm like, man. So then I finished. Okay, so I went through, and there were a few that didn't eat, there were a few that couldn't eat, and at the end of the video I'm talking about, it's like, you know, I'm counting the Brachypelmas, and I was like, I feel like I'm missing something. Well, I missed this girl, I missed the Brachypelma shorteri, and I missed my other little Brachypelma vagans. So this is where my mind's gone, you know. So yeah, and this also does do stuff with memory. There's some disconnect there. That could also be just part of being aging too, but there is a little bit of memory issues that he said are attributed to this, but nothing major. So, okay. Yeah. So we'll talk to you guys later. Have fun. Thank you. Bye-bye.